In 1986, 10-year-old Chris Barrington had no idea that a simple summer day by the lake would turn into a fight for his life. Out enjoying the sun, Chris wandered too close to the water's edge and suddenly found himself plunging into the deep, icy water. Unable to swim, he panicked, flailing helplessly as the water pulled him under. His cries for help echoed across the quiet lake, but there was no one nearby. At least, not that Chris could see. However, luck was on Chris's side that day. Jim O'Brien, a firefighter and avid fisherman, was also at the lake, unwinding after a long week of work. Just as he was about to cast his line into the water, Jim heard the faint sounds of splashing and shouting. Dropping everything, Jim dashed toward the noise, his heart racing as he spotted the boy struggling in the water. Instinct kicked in, and without a second thought, Jim dived into the lake. The water was cold and the current strong, but Jim was determined. He reached Chris in a matter of moments, grabbing him just as he was about to go under. Gasping for breath, Chris clung to Jim as they both swam back to shore, the weight of the near-death experience hitting them both hard. Jim's training as a firefighter had prepared him for moments like this, but even he couldn't shake the enormity of what had just happened. He had saved a young boy's life. After ensuring Chris was okay, Jim went on with his life, never expecting to see the boy again. It was one of many rescues Jim had performed throughout his career, and though the experience stuck with him, it became one of many stories he would tell over the years. Chris, on the other hand, never forgot Jim. That day had been a pivotal moment for him, one that left a lasting impact. As the years went by, Chris often thought about Jim, the man who had risked his own life to save him. He had grown up, faced his own struggles, and built a life for himself. But the memory of that day remained fresh in his mind. For Chris, the act of being saved represented more than just survival. It represented the incredible power of human kindness. 2 decades passed without the two ever crossing paths again. Jim continued his work as a firefighter, eventually retiring after years of service. But even in retirement, he carried the memory of that summer day at the lake, occasionally wondering what had become of the boy he had saved. Chris, now a grown man, always hoped to one day reconnect with the man who had given him a second chance at life. Then, one fateful day, their paths crossed once more. Chris, now in his 30s, was attending a local community event when he spotted a familiar face. It was Jim, the man who had saved his life so many years ago. Chris's heart pounded in his chest as he approached Jim, unsure of what to say. How do you properly thank someone for saving your life? Jim, now gray-haired and retired, initially didn't recognize Chris. But as Chris reintroduced himself, Jim's face lit up with recognition. The memories of that day came flooding back. The two men embraced, tears welling up in their eyes as they recounted the events of the past. For Chris, it was a moment of closure, a chance to finally express his deep gratitude for the man who had saved him. For Jim, it was a reminder of the lasting impact one act of kindness can have. As they spoke, Jim learned about the challenges Chris had faced growing up, and how the rescue had shaped him. Chris shared that he often thought about Jim during difficult times, using that moment of salvation as a reminder that there is good in the world. Jim, in turn, shared his pride in knowing that Chris had turned out well, having lived a full and meaningful life. The reunion was not just emotional for Chris and Jim, but for everyone who heard their story. News of the rescue and subsequent reunion spread through the local community, touching the hearts of many. People were reminded of the power of kindness, bravery, and the profound connections that can form between strangers. Jim's quick action had not only saved a life, but had created a bond that would last for decades. Chris and Jim kept in touch after their reunion, forming a friendship that went beyond rescuer and survivor. They became an inspiration to others, showing that even in a world filled with challenges, there are moments of extraordinary compassion that can change lives. Their story became a symbol of hope, resilience, and the incredible impact of human kindness. The tale of Jim and Chris serves as a powerful reminder that even the smallest act of heroism can ripple through time, touching the lives of many. Jim's decision to dive into that lake 20 years earlier had set off a chain of events that would leave an indelible mark on both of their lives. And as they stood together, decades later, their story continued to inspire. The reunion between Chris and Jim is more than just a story of survival. It's a testament to the enduring power of gratitude and the bonds that form in the most unlikely of circumstances. It's a reminder that acts of kindness, no matter how small or large, can create lasting connections that span time and distance. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more heartwarming stories. Let's celebrate the power of kindness and share this story with someone who could use a little inspiration today.